Because my crunch can be like really loud.
We're live.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting of the BU Senate to order at 4:06 p.m. Exciting. To start off, I have a couple of revisions to the agenda that I want to propose. First one is just striking the appointment to the academic coordinating commission. We had a little confusion between me and Stacy and the ACC, so we're gonna figure that out and bring it back later. And then adding a advisor note from Leona and other business. Are there any other revisions to the agenda anyone wants to propose? No, okay, cool. Are there any objections to those two revisions? No objections, okay, fantastic. Then we'll move on to the consent items. First one we have is the appointment to the Student Advisory Committee of Devin Moreno as just a normal voting member for the Senate. And the second thing we have is the approval of the minutes from October 30th, November 6th, and November 20th. Has everyone had a chance to read all those minutes? Are there any outstanding things on those minutes? No, okay. Then I would welcome a motion to approve the consent item. If there's also no objections to the appointment of Devin to that safety. Cool, thank you.
Third motion to approve.
Any seconds on the motion to approve? the consent item?
Second.
Okay. Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion about, any further discussion? No, all right, I'm good with those. All those in favor of approving the consent items, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? You are? Yes. Okay, Devin is abstaining. All right, that looks like it passed. I didn't get the exact count, but I'm assuming it was 11-0 with one abstention. Based on attendance. All right, we'll now move on to public forum, and I think we have one person here for public forum.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you want me to talk from here or like go over there?
you can sit in the shadow or you can go over there. You've got
I'll go over here so that no one has to turn around.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I didn't know you guys were meeting until 2 hours ago, so my apologies that this isn't a more formal information item. But as the VP for Sustainability, I sit on the President's Sustainability Council. And what we're doing right now is we're trying to push out the latest edition of the Sustainability Action Plan. For those that don't know, that's sort of our university-wide governing document when it comes to sustainability practices. That's anything from reducing emissions, building the new buildings with like more sustainable materials, to incorporating more environmentally sustainability related coursework as GURs. What I've been tasked with as the AS representative on there is fielding student input on some of the sections that I've been assigned to review. Those are curriculum and research, engagement and leadership, and then student life. I'm coming to you guys because right now the sort of review process on the student side is very college of the environment heavy, and that's not representative of everyone that's this plan is going to affect. So I just wanted to throw out an invite to anyone that's interested to talk with me, look over the reviewed sections, and give me any input that you might have, because we need to be more inclusive with our sustainability practices as a university, and right now we're falling very short. So if you don't have my email, see if I can remember it. It's as.vp.sustain@WWU. You can also talk to most people on the Senate. Everyone can get in contact with me, but yeah, I don't think I can take any questions during public comment, but
As the chair, I'm gonna say you can, I don't really care, but there's no rules about public forum, okay?
cool.
Not at least in anything we have written down. So, yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to ask them.
Would you be able to just like rattle off the specific sections that you're working on and wanting feedback on, just like a couple sentences, so I can be thinking?
For sure. Yeah, so I'm sort of spread across those three. Mainly focusing on engagement and leadership, just that's like the investment side of things. So I'm very obviously digging into that, but I would really appreciate some more input on the curriculum and research section. That's going to be more based around GURs, classes, and I feel like that's more tied into the Senate's sort of goals and everything. So I think, just off the top of my head, there is a goal to increase the amount of students outside of the college and the environment that are taking sustainability related courses. And there's also goals about increasing attendance in environmental and sustainability related minors from folks that aren't necessarily majoring in environmental stuff. So yeah, having your guys' insight on that would be incredibly valuable, because I'm just one guy. I can't speak for 15,000 students, but yeah.
I think I looked at like a resolution a few meetings back, does it hear of?
The divestment resolution?
Yeah, but this is not the same as that, is it?
No, but I could provide an update on where the resolution's at.
Yes.
So after you guys endorsed it, thank you. It went to the faculty senate where it received unanimous support. And then from there, we submitted it to Kim O'Neill and the other foundation folks. And then we went to the board of trustees. They can't endorse it as a body, but the support that we got from them was outstanding. They literally paused the meeting to like talk about our efforts, which is unprecedented. So that's rad. And then we got a response from the foundation that we will be getting a formal sort of like list of what they're going to give us at the end of this month. So we're fairly confident that we're going to get increased transparency surrounding our investment portfolio. We're less confident about the standing student and faculty representation. And then we are very not confident about the increased investment into our ESG portfolio. So that's where we're at. And that's by no means the end all be all. That's what they're going to come back with, and then we can negotiate and go from there. But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Okay, Devin. Yeah, circling back to the sustainability action plan, does the curriculum section exclusively focus on GURs, or is there potential to help support majors outside of the colleges?
Absolutely. Yeah, it can really be anything. There's no restrictions on, oh, this has to be GURs, this has to be, like I said, anything. It can be redesigning the entirety of the original SAP, which came out in 2017. And if you guys haven't read through that, I recommend you look through it, even if you're not interested in participating in this revised version. But yeah, any concerns that you have or any ideas, you can totally submit them.
I'll just add, you can talk and get something for next meeting, but, I think there's a working version of the, like, new SAP, right?
Yes, and that's for folks that are interested and want to get involved. I would just send you that copy and you can mark it up and we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, if that's all you've got, Dan, you can go, whatever you do at Fort Good Heat.
They go hang out in the forest or something.
Okay, have fun.
Go sustain.
It's the same. All right, anyone else here for public forum? And I don't believe so. So we're gonna move on to information items guests, which we have none, so we'll move on to action items guests, which we don't have any, so we'll move on to information items. Senate. The first thing we have is the spring meeting time, so I kind of just wanted to open up a quick little preliminary discussion about this bit of thinking, so we are able to get more people in the room next quarter. My initial thoughts are it would be easiest to keep this time and have people schedule their classes around it. Obviously, those 20 people we're 17 right now, but 20 people with a bunch of classes in different major requirements, and maybe there's classes that, are only offered during the spring from 4 to 5:30, who knows? So I think what I would just suggest is all of you take a advanced look on on like Class Finder and the new one that's not very good. But yeah, on Class Finder, just like look at what is being offered for spring and what you need for your major and sort of get that figured out in the next like month or so we can sort of nail down a time before the end of the quarter, and then we'll be prepared to have more people and it'll be a better scheduling time all around. Are there any like other suggestions, thoughts, brainstorming at Lola?
I know for a fact for me, I know which 3 classes I'm taking next quarter, and if I don't take them, I don't graduate.
Okay,
And I imagine it's like that for a lot of people who are in their junior, senior, very restrictive.
Mhm.
I think it'd be very beneficial to do the same thing we did this time quarter, but maybe a bit more expedited, where maybe in 2 meetings or so, we launch that same like thing where everyone signs up their time availability, but we have an earlier deadline, like having everybody in like 1 month from now come back for sure with their schedule.
okay, yeah, that's a good suggestion. Other thoughts? Are people also in that situation where they won't graduate if they don't take a specific class? Sounds like it, okay. Yeah, that's good to know. I think we can definitely move forward with that, yeah, Stacy?
Yeah, I completely agree with Lola. We're just, trying to do that at a sooner date. I know it's hard because until I was a senior, I would like change my classes like the day before they started, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think we should all do that. And we could also try like other methods, or like maybe if there's like a different like form of surveying people and their time. Like if anybody has a suggestion, if they don't like the way we've been doing it, like we can try a different way too.
Yeah. But if you guys come up with anything, like, I don't know, when you're taking your showers, trying to go to bed, and you think about sending things, just send me an email. But does anyone else do that?
Oh, I definitely do that. So you know, I can use, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you have any more thoughts, just like send me an email, probably copy, Stacy at the end, just so we all have that, and then Nelly also, I guess, would make sense. Just so we got everyone on the same page. But yeah, I think that's just something that's gonna be good to get ahead of. I guess I'll move on to the updates on the governing document. So I maybe could have made a quick little like diagram, but if you remember from our orientation in fall, which I know not everyone's at, but there's sort of 3 main governing documents that we're concerned about. The like overarching one is the AS charter, and that's the one that sort of defines the relationship between student government as a whole and university. Then there's below that, there's the AS constitution, which defines sort of our relationship with the student body and also defines like the governing powers of both branches, defines like how the government is structured. And right now it's between the Senate and executive board. And then the third one that affects just the Senate is the Senate bylaws. And that one sort of talks about the operations of the body, some more detail about membership and like processes. So that's sort of, those are our 3 main governance documents. And I think the goal I have is to get all of them up to date by the end of the year. So I know last meeting we had a little update, I think, maybe it was meeting for now, but it was a little update about the bylaws working group. That's a working group about the Senate bylaws, and that's work that hopefully will get more in depth in the next month or 2. The AS charter, we're hopefully going to talk with Kira, the AS president, about sort of where that is at, because we have sent our sort of like final-ish proposal back to Melinda Husky, the VP for Enrollment and Services. And we're going to get a response back, hopefully, so we can discuss it in a meeting this month, because the goal is for that to be presented to the Board of Trustees, just so they like can acknowledge it. They don't need to like pass it or anything. But that meeting is on the 8th and 9th of February. So by the 9th of February, we have to like have that done. Otherwise, we have to wait another 2 months to get it to the trustees. So that's something that will be coming up probably at the next meeting as an action item. And then the Constitution is something that like no work has actually started on in like groups. I know I have like thoughts on it. People always have thoughts on everything. But yeah, so that's one that once we get further into this quarter, it's probably important to start, work on. So that's something that will be coming up down the pipeline. Again, I don't know if there's any questions about those updates. Maybe. Are there any questions about that sort of stuff? Any interest in like starting work on the Constitution? I know we're sort of thinking about taking the bylaws working group, but then like pivoting it to the Constitution once we get the bylaws in a like good place.
Could you repeat which place the Constitution lands on that?
Yeah, it's in the middle.
In the
So
middle.
it's the Charter, Constitution, and bylaws. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's just something to keep in mind. It's all like structural stuff, kind of boring, but also like somewhat important. It's a lot easier to get through the job when everything makes sense. And right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah.
If there's enough support, I mean, we might be able to have both the bylaws working group and a constitution working group, like at the same time, if we end up needing to do that. And that might be cool if like there are more people who want to join the group, but then it would be like core, we have too many, you know?
Yeah.
So that might be something.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that the Constitution Working Group would have to also include executive board people
Oh,
because it's overarching over both bodies. So that's just something I'll have more concrete stuff about is once the charter gets wrapped up, we'll have more like space and time for the Constitution, I think. But yeah. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah,
I'm sorry, just for clarity's sake, I always get confused about where things go and then when they'll come back, you know? So we're waiting response from Melinda
for the charter.
and then for the charter, yes. And then do we respond back to that? Like,
Yeah, so the plan is that once we get back to Melinda, we'll have one last meeting, the charter task force,
okay,
which John is in with me and Rosie Snyder and Kira. Yeah, and yeah, we'll take a look at it and then we'll bring it to we'll vote on it in both bodies and then it'll go to the trustees.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
yeah, so that's what it'll look like. Yeah, okay. I think we can move on. It's gonna be a relatively quick meeting. Next thing I have is a long range calendar. This is something that is really good for us to like understand how much time we have. Can you pull it up? It's not one, Ellie. Yeah, can you zoom in a little bit, maybe to where it's the width of the screen? Yeah. So this is a draft. This is not like anything official, but sort of just taking a look at things as info and action items. And yeah, so I mean, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We're looking at an OSP unionizing resolution like we did last year. Hopefully that will come back next meeting. One thing to note, the Senate budget is just coming as an info item. We could vote on it, but it is like a preliminary like proposal. And it's what me and Adam will be working on and getting done before the end of January. That's the budget request deadline. So that's something we can like talk about more. And I haven't really dug into that yet. We haven't really started, but that's something that I want to bring to the Senate so we like know what we're proposing. And as long as there's like everyone kind of understands what we're proposing, I think we're good to move forward with that. Other thing, the program board charter, this is something we talked about a little bit early on in the year. The like program governance idea, and that's the relationship between student government and like the program offices, like the OCD, the outdoor center, gas productions, CUGs, things like that. So there's been formed a group of like directors and other student representatives from the different program officers who formed like this ad hoc like program board, and it sounds like they're wanting to sort of formalize it, so I'm hoping that there's like a charter, I think they're looking at a charter, I'm not sure how done it is, but hopefully we can like look at something and get that done in the near future, that is.
I just had a question about that body, like what would their, what would they be in, or do you have any like more information? Because I've heard things
Mhm.
about it. I think that sounds cool. And I think that sounds like cool for all of them to be able to get together and like represent their own little part of AS and like also help each other. But like, would different programs like go to them for approvals and stuff on like things?
Yeah, I think that it's in a like, it's not fully concrete, and that's what the charter is sort of
That makes
to do. It's like, that's the point of that. What I'll say is, I don't know, it's sort of supposed to fill this middle space where the like governing bodies don't really care about like the nitpicky like parts of the different program offices. Like our role is like oversight, sort of like a state legislature would, like, you know, the state legislators will come in and tell Western, oh, you have to offer these specific courses, or like do this specific, you have to paint your walls this color, like not that sort of stuff. Is not like in the realm of like in government, or at least it was previously, but we've found that it's kind of like realistically students don't really want their elected representatives to be dealing with that stuff. They want to be happy you guys dealing with like advocacy and like making like actual change versus being like internal looking. So that's what like the middle spot is. But yeah, but it's what it would specifically be isn't fully defined at the moment. And then,
So is there like a purpose?
yeah, the purpose is that like right now there's sort of, I mean, there isn't a internal like sort of body that makes the AS like a coherent entity. It's like a lot of just people doing different things. It's not like unified, and there's not like right now, the last time like a program standard or like a strategic plan was approved was back in like 2017 or 2010. That's like 5-6 years ago. And that sort of stuff is important for sort of like strategic planning, which like I know it sounds like fake or whatever, but it is kind of a real thing and is important because like some of the issues we have right now in the AS are because we don't have that, sort of, we haven't had that long range planning. Like, I know one thing that's like concerning me is the fact that the like club activities manager or whatever, like the Dawn's position last year has been like funded through reserves pretty consistently, and it sounds like maybe they're gonna try to do it again. But that's not like sustainable. We can't just keep pulling money out of savings to pay for someone for 2 years, like things like that. Where we have like a longer range, so someone like a group of students that are doing the long range planning, because there has been long range planning and like VU staff, like the full-time professional and classified staff have been like doing that sort of work, but there's not like a student voice there much, other than like in the individual office. So this is to get like a student voice. It's like not down from the government, it's like out from the program officers, yeah. Yeah.
Well, I would just, that kind of sounds like the realm of the executive board then.
I think that's historically, yeah, when it was board of directors. But the executive board is also supposed to be a legislative body. It's not supposed to be an executive body, even though it's called the executive board. So that's sort of what, I mean, the executive board for like the, like really, it's like that's where student services and like sustainability activities, like I think the VP for activities is one. It would be like this liaison to the student government, I think is what we're thinking. Because that's, I think the activities part is what like fits in. But the executive board does much more than run the AS. Yeah, and they don't really run the AS.
My question is kind of similar to Devin's. I was wondering, like one, if there would be, I mean, we could totally also save this conversation for later because I can see that it's on the agenda for another meeting, but just from like what you know, if their like actions would conflict with like, I don't know, if there were things that they were supposed to be governing, but also executive board, which I'm sure that would be sorted out. And then I guess a follow-up question to that would be, do they report to the executive board or would that be a third governing body?
That's a great question that I don't think we have the exact answer to. Yeah, I think right now it exists in like an advisory capacity to like the finance council and like student government, but what is specifically like, let's say in the charter would sort of get that up, and I hope that we do not create, more systems that are like conflicting with each other. That's sort of the point of like the constitution and the bylaws working groups and things like that, to make sure these things like make sense and are coherent. So if it ends up that this is actually like a completely incoherent mess, then we will just not do it. But I think there's been a lot of good feedback from the student directors about this. But yeah, I'm gonna keep moving on what this looks like for the agenda, longer range agenda. We're expected to get the finance council charter back pretty soon. You can stay on that document, Ellie.
That was me.
Oh, yeah, we can stay on, so we've got the finance council charter. I think there's some updates that we were hoping to make earlier, but there was some more discussion, and I think it's in a pretty good place now, so it should be coming back hopefully as soon as next meeting.
Sorry, wait, what are we talking about?
The finance council charter, that's the like budget committee. Like when we approved it back in early fall, we were just changing the membership so it could meet, but now we're gonna look at some of the more like structural things, make it more make sense. So that'll be coming up ahead, and then all the AS charter and the unionization resolution. In February, we're looking at, I want to do the pass of the Ramadan resolution again, like we've been doing for the past 4 years. Really like asking professors to be accommodating to Muslim students. Bylaws updates, so we will have some more stuff, more concrete stuff by the end of February. Maybe start looking at the Constitution more concretely in February, and then passing the program board charter. I don't know where that actually is, so that all of this stuff could move around. On the 18th and 19th, we have Western Intersectional Lobby Day, which I would recommend all of you go to if you have the time. It's a good opportunity to like learn how to lobby and also like sort of fight for things that are important in the state legislation.
Is there an application form?
There should be a win event. I think it was sent out in an email from Aaron or from the comm director as Aaron, where Aaron asked, but yeah, so that should be, that should be on there. I would just check your email. And then in February also just hopefully finishing the bylaw. That's maybe a little bit too forward. I don't know. We'll see. We can do whatever we put our minds to kind of, and also passing the Ramadan resolution. I'm thinking probably by the end of February or the beginning of March, I think the election code needs to be finalized, and that will probably that should come before both governing bodies. So that's just something to keep in mind, and filing will probably start around there for candidates and for initiatives and referenda. In March, more constitution stuff. We want to keep going. As you can see, it sort of gets much less dense as we move down. But can we scroll down the document? Leanna. Yeah, so I don't know what I missed up there. There was something right above. Oh, okay, yeah, spring break, okay. But yeah, we can keep going down. A constitution referendum would probably need to be done before filing ends, and that'll be probably middle of April. There will also have another board of trustees meeting. And these meetings are just numbered. I'm thinking we can have probably up to 6 meetings in spring. But yeah, then elections will probably open somewhere around end of April, I think. I don't know. These are all sort of like wish-washy. But once the elections end, then we'll have the acknowledgement of the exec board members elect. And then the next meeting will probably look at the whole budget. Hopefully it'll get done sooner than last year because the finance council has actually been meeting this past quarter, so we're like much more on schedule this time around. And then we'll also look at student tech fee initiatives from the student technology fee committee, which approves sort of like discretionary like grants for new technical students for like academic technologies. And then we'll probably hopefully finally approve that by the end of May or maybe earlier for the budget and those initiatives. And then, yeah, there could be a lot of other stuff that comes up, like any of you can put things on the agenda. I encourage you to, if you have something you think you want like another perspective on, you want, yeah, like really anything at all. And then we'll have the board of trustees meeting at the end of like finals week, and then the term of your positions will end on the Friday of finals week. And then you'll get for that pay period end on the 15th. That's all of, yep, that's the whole calendar as sort of I'm thinking, but it could change. But I think it's just a good like headspace to get in. Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate this document. Thank you for making that. I think it's really nice to be able to see like what's coming up and stuff, and I think kind of seeing stuff on it.
Yeah.
Would we be able to like, if there's any like updates to this, would we be able to just like throw it in as a document for like meetings that it will change?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can see this as a working document. I think
So helpful.
I think the version of it, we can like maybe figure out a way to get it more sort of collaborative document. That's what I think we're on for sure. Yeah. Any questions about this long-term sort of stuff? Or anything you guys think I missed that is important? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to the operational student employee recognition resolution draft. This is very similar to what was passed last year for the educational student employees. And basically the context of this is that right now, educational student employees are bargaining with, university administration. You guys are all currently in the educational bargaining unit. But the rest of the student employees have filed for a union or to have, what would represent them in collective bargaining, which, yeah. So this is sort of just telling the university to voluntarily recognize that union since they have majority support. And Western has responded to the operational student employees, just like they responded last year to the educational student employees. They've responded by saying that they're unable to currently formally recognize that union because there's not a law that specifically gives OSCs the right to collectively bargain. And they're saying it was to be like, oh, we need to have a like framework, like a sort of like standardized framework for is the labor board. So that, yeah, they're not currently open to recognition or bargaining right now. So this sort of just goes through a few points, like how all the other unions on campus have said that the university should voluntarily recognize the OSC bargaining unit. And it also talks about how in the strategic plan, Western talks about how they want to like have competitive wages and like good working conditions. And a note about how like unions tend to bring those sorts of things. But we can scroll down the next page. Yeah. So what it resolves is just that the AS considers like a voluntary recognition to be like in the interest of like everyone. And then we're requesting that the university respects the wishes of its faculty and staff, which would be the unions, and then acting according to the strategic plan about like competitive wages and things like that. Recognize the bargaining unit, begin negotiating with the OSCs, and then like formally responding to the AS, like responding to this resolution, so we can sort of get what the university is thinking after we say this. And maybe we'll get some movement. I know last year, there wasn't any like movement right after we sent the resolution, but I do think it's like an important sort of like point of pressure that shows that there's like support here for the case.
Sorry, I have so many things to say today. Yeah, I was wondering for last year, when it was the educational student employees, Western, yeah, didn't voluntarily recognize us. And then we passed a similar thing, and then did it take the lobbying pass for them to recognize us?
Yeah,
So, okay,
so I think that, yeah, that's like the law and like getting Kirk to like sort of force an election and things like that would, like, I think Western is just saying that we don't want to do things that we aren't legally required to do. Yeah, so that's,
and that's on the lobbying agenda, right?
yeah, right now, the draft, lobbying agenda for Wild includes a bill to give OSUs the right to bargain. But also like the law is not necessarily the like source of theoretical power for like workers. So if the law doesn't pass, there's like other sort of avenues that can be taken, but I think this is just a good like pressure, good pressure to apply. Yeah. Any questions about this? Any thoughts in general? Head nods, okay, cool. Cool. All right, yeah, this is like sort of preliminary language, so I'll take another look at it. And if you guys have any suggestions about like wording, anything like that, let me know. The plan would be for this all to go before the executive board. Yeah, like a joint resolution to sort of get the full force of the student government behind it. Because it will be useful. But yeah, I think I'll bring it back in the future. All right, there's no more questions, then we'll move on to, Devin.
Yeah, I would say, change, just a quick recommendation, I would change the wording in the first argument.
This is the line number.
That's one then?
One, okay.
Yeah, it's, it says that whereas operational student employees do critical work across WWU from keeping students safe. So like, it should be to keep students safe instead of from keeping students safe.
Oh, I think that was sort of, I know that wording is sort of, I was trying to work with that. I was trying to say like they do things from this task to this task, this task to this task.
Like from.
Oh, yeah, but I think it's with the ambiguity there, I'd probably change the wording so it makes more sense and is more readable. That's a good thing to know, and I'll work on that. Yeah, anything else? Okay, then we can move on to action items, Senate, which we don't have any. So we'll move on to Senate reports. I don't know if anyone has any reports they want to give. I'll start off. We'll just go around in a circle. If you have anything, Tim, you want to talk about?
Yeah, sure. I'm still working on arbitrary borders. It's been slow and it's gonna be slower now because Quincy is gone, which is unfortunate. But, I'm gonna have a survey from the Senate, Faculty Library Committee for next meeting. So I'll have everyone, can I have everyone do that survey during the meeting or after the meeting?
Yeah, we can do like either one, for sure, yeah. Unless it's like a really long survey, I don't want to take 30 minutes doing that.
That's two
80-page survey.
That's two questions.
That's too bad, yeah, for sure, man.
And that's all that's important, I guess.
So I'm still working on my like wintering, like inclusion, and, like disability access listening session. I've been working on that with Fiona. So again, kind of slow, a lot, but I'm working on that. I'm on the committee for undergraduate education, although I think based on their email, their meeting time this quarter won't work with my schedule, so I don't know if that's something we should discuss, but.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, like before fall quarter ended, Lily and I were talking about partnering with Woodring's embedded therapist before finals week and having like kind of like a de-stress session with her and like having pages and vice versa. Having one of that kind of event, so that's kind of what we're on.
Mariana.
Every night, don't have much to share, just putting on some of the around there. Come back to it.
Yeah, right.
So I
I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm on the LAC, which is the Legislative Affairs Council, which plans the AS's lobbying agenda, the lobby day, wild. So I just want to say everyone here should come because there's free food, free transportation, free like hotel stay, plus you get to lobby. I also want to say if right now we're in the process of like bill tracking. So if anybody has any bills from the House or the Senate that they really feel strongly they want to be advocated for, like please contact me or Erin and like we can discuss that with the LAC. Also, Kira Ryan, AS president, reached out to Adam and asked if like Senate would be paid for our hours lobbying. And as of right now, I believe that answer is yes, for our town lobbying, not the whole training. And I also believe the hours spent lobbying, you can't like go over your hours per week. So I just wanted to say that.
So one thing that I wanted to mention was I accomplished something last quarter. I got the new entrepreneurship club in the College of Business and Economics. I got them approved earlier than they were anticipated. And now they are now launching as a discovery of entrepreneurship, which is going to also help support the entrepreneurship program in the College of Business and Economics. So very good things right there. We also had, and by we, I mean Daisy and I, we had a discussion with the dean last quarter as well to help bolster and improve the entrepreneurship program, and we're continuing to work with the dean and make some good progress on that.
Can you clarify the entrepreneurship club, is that like departmentally related? Like sort of a department club, I guess? Or is it like an AS club?
It filed with the AS.
Okay.
Sure there's something. Yeah, I want to, like Devin just mentioned, we had a talk with our dean and she's new and she's super awesome and cool. So I'm hoping we can like do that more regularly, because in our job descriptions, it also mentions like talking to your dean more often, like around once a month. So, right, I think that it does, yeah, okay. Which I realized that I didn't do that, but I did it twice last quarter, which I feel like is pretty good. Anyway, I feel like the next thing that I would have to update on, I've only had like one meeting this quarter so far, so, coming up pretty soon will be, appointing students to the PEJ task force. This is super important. And I'll put it on the agenda soon because that's gonna be coming, and then that student or students will have to serve for until April of 2025, which is like hard to navigate because like one, if you're like an elected person in the Senate, like we would want them to get reelected so that they can get paid for their work. Anyway, it's a whole thing. So that will be coming soon, and that's all my thoughts.
Yeah. That's a good thing though. I know I'll have to talk more with like Adam later about this, but me and Daisy have been considering a few options for like stipends for that work, since it's like really is pretty work intensive work, the PEJ stuff, and it's also like diversity, like DEI work, ADDI work, and that's like something that like all of these like student clubs, Black and residents have been asking for like ever, and if we're just not compensating that work, that's just not like, that's just not good. That's not, that's just asking for more from students than we should be.
Yeah. And that also kind of ties into why we had to table our appointment of MJ earlier, just for like transparency's sake. If MJ was appointed to ACC, and she also expressed like interest in being in the PEJ task force, that would be like such a huge time commitment to be on ACC and the PEJ task force. Like, and I think that would just be like super stressful. And so that's why we were thinking of it. Yeah, I feel.
We'll work that out.
Yeah.
I don't have a whole lot. No, I was in half the university budget committee meeting today prior to the class, and it sounds like there's some pretty good work in terms of like budget transparency that's getting worked on. So hopefully by the end of the year, relatively soon, there'll be like a sort of budget like website where you can look at like where all the money is going. There's some like we looked at financial health, and it looks like we're like, all right, not great. There's definitely like a need for more like money, there's always need for more money for public college. Yeah, I think that's about that right now. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, what do you mean by financial troubles? Like, already having
Oh.
put into here?
Oh, I think it's right now, so the board of trustees wants us to have like, I think 10% of our operating, like expenses in like saved as reserves, like, so we want to have 10% of what we have to spend every year, just as like savings or whatever. Right now, we're at like 7%. So that's like something we want to get back up since we were drawing from it during COVID. There's a lot of like sort of legacy, like building improvements that need to get done. There's like the constant like increase of inflation and wages and goods and services and everything needs to be accounted for, and the state legislature has not provided like inflation increase in funding for like ever, I don't think. And their funding split is still sort of not as good as it used to be. That's the recession, basically, since the recession, public funding has gotten cut a whole bunch, but we're starting to go back up, but we're still like, I don't know, like, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. I think I can talk more about it later. And we'll also have to talk about like the AS budget, like, it's like demographic things. But yeah, I think we're like fine, but we could be better. I think is concisely like to put it. Yeah. Other things to note, we had last quarter, the last meeting of the executive board, we approved a executive board resolution in support of a ceasefire in Gaza, which we sent to congressional representatives and the city council, and the city council also approved a ceasefire resolution. Yeah, I think I've sort of just been, I mean, I didn't do anything over break, none of us did, so I have a whole bunch else to say, but yeah.
Sure. Last quarter, I was working on a food security project where I was just trying to get some literature out to the food pantry so that students have better access to resources available to them and know when is optimal times to use food pantries. Still working on the very tail ends of getting that polished, but now I'm pivoting that project and connecting it with the Western's Food Involvement Network, and the current goal is to really meet with the people from the AS bookstore and try and get staple foods sold at the AS bookstore, because that is the only place where Chartwell's doesn't have a monopoly. And yeah, no, finally got the contact with Finn for that today at the Earth Week planning, which is something that we're also helping out in for Earth Week celebrations. Also, I was able to interview 16 students from the College of the Environment to try and get a better picture of what inaccessibility looks like in the built environment of that really old building. And yeah, still at the very tail ends of polishing that before I get to present it to Forrest Payne, the campus planner. But yeah, I got a lot of contact there, and then an upcoming new project, which other students are on and asking for my help on, is funding for some clubs in the College of the Environment to go to conferences. They're looking for funding from all over the place. And one of them is through the AS. And they reached out to me and said, hey, how do we ask the AS for funding? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. So I asked some people and I'm trying to figure that out. If anybody has advice for how a club can get funding through the AS.
Yeah, so I'll give you some advice as a club leader myself.
Yeah.
You have to go through onto WIN and go into forms, and then you can find the unified funding form. You can apply either as a student or as a club. If you apply as a club, you can go to the activities council and get a grant or a loan. And then if you're doing conferences like that, and everyone has like different flight costs and lodging costs, you can apply for opportunity grants. I usually do that as an individual student. Yeah, we got it.
So for getting funding for a club through AS, you would go through, like Devin said, the Activities Council. The way it works is you're applying for funding through them and they can accept it or deny it. Oftentimes they'll redirect people to other funds and other grants because there are certain expenses that they don't cover, but other funds do. But it's a kind of a process of an application. You would go to one meeting as an information item, and then you would go to another meeting as an action item. And there's no guarantee that they're gonna just approve funding. But like Devin said, the form is online for that. And then you would wanna reach out to Donna Wilson, the activities manager. And then there's also, Sebastian is now the VP for that committee.
Yeah.
So there's an exec board member that's gonna be handling that. It was previously Kira, but she was just covering because Sebastian was new. So either one of them, I would reach out to with questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, the other good contact would be, Trent Austin, the business director. That's a lot of, he like helps people sort of navigate AS finance from like a student peer perspective versus like a, if I could,
Okay.
would be a good,
Is Kira still on the?
no, you shouldn't be, that's, he was acting as the VP for activities when there was a vacancy.
I'm sure it's not on my committee.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for the multiple points of feedback that you have about this was as helpful for other people as it was for me if they face similar situations.
I have no updates. I do have a question though, that's probably directed toward Nellie, which is when do you want office hours to be solidified by?
As soon as possible, probably before the next meeting.
And will an email to you?
Yes.
See that?
Yes,
We're gonna do
a
it.
survey
Yeah.
after this meeting. It'll ask you what your office hours are. If you don't know what they are, you can say, I don't know right now. And then I would say by the end of this week, let us know.
I was also gonna say, because
Right.
there's like, an Excel sheet on Teams that everyone can access, and you guys can just go in with your office hours yourselves whenever you can.
If you want to do that as
Yeah.
well, that's totally fine, but you will need to fill out the form that I'm gonna put up and have sent out. Just because like for me to track everyone, it's really hard if I have to like look at multiple spreadsheets.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, just do a Lisa.
Is that the form you sent out about the advisory meetings? Is it the same?
Yeah, it's all in the same one. Yeah, it asks you like, what are your working hours, what are your office hours, when can you meet with your advisor, it's all one thing, and I'll put it up at the end after the meeting. Yeah.
You wanna, I don't know, introduce yourself to the Senate?
For those who haven't met me, I don't know anything. I was also gonna ask what is the office hours, because I don't know that part either. So I feel like we probably should have a meeting, maybe, so I can know a little more, so then we can start doing things.
Yes, if you fill out this survey, it'll tell me when you're available, and then I can schedule it. It's hard to schedule meetings with y'all when I don't.
No, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, but 100%.
Yeah, Ellen's our new graduate. They're all
Shout out to
appointed.
Ellen.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
Thank you guys.
I guess we can.
I'm very excited though.
Yeah, not a whole lot to say. I've only had one meeting with my ADI committee, and we kind of went over our desire to organize the DI resources with CSE, because the website's fairly outdated, hasn't been updated since before COVID, so we're gonna fast track to do that before the end of January. And then like beyond that, we want to build on the community ambassadors. CSE has community and student ambassadors, which are from faculty and students, and we want to keep those connections strong because the person who's overseeing that role stepped down, and we need to find somebody who's willing to take it over. Other than that, no.
And the community ambassadors, those are the faculty, or is it both?
The community's faculty, but students.
Awesome, that's good to hear. Nellie, I don't know if you have anything you want to add before, no, okay, cool. Then
Good luck this quarter, guys.
we'll move on to other business then, and that's Leona's little advisor note, whatever you wanna say, you've got the floor.
Hello. Once we're done with the meeting and we close out of the recording and everything, I'm just gonna put up a QR code for the survey I've been talking about. Should only take a couple minutes. Let's all just get that done right away after the meeting if you haven't done it already. That's all.
All right, that's good now. Is there any other business that you want to talk about?
I just had a question
Yeah.
for you, Casey. Is there any like current or future efforts that are gonna be made to fill the open positions?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's been closed. There've been a few applicants. I haven't gotten around to it. I've been sick for the past bit. So that'll hopefully, yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah, yeah, there are efforts being made to fill the position. We'll have to reopen, or we'll have to open up a new, the Fairhaven senator position. But yeah, right now, I think we'll probably, for sure, be able to get the CSC one seated, I think. What?
Yay.
We know nothing, we're.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
No, I was just saying, I didn't know.
You didn't know
it was
about-
vacant,
yeah.
so I was just.
Oh, yeah.
Quincy's gone.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Quincy,
Quincy
here
was
tonight,
yeah.
unfortunately.
Dude, so sad.
That's
Yeah.
just sad.
Yeah, because of that my report, but it's fine. Yeah, so there are efforts being made and we'll hopefully get that process moving along. Yeah. Okay,
Is Quincy okay?
yeah, Quincy is mostly okay. I think just like doesn't have time to like, it's like, yeah. But that's usually go. But yeah. Awesome. Well, we will adjourn this meeting at 5:02 PM. We can, you are pretty much the thing, and, you know,
My schedule. Yeah. Work fight.
And have it, don't.
the day of the week and the time.
And